Previously on Code Lyoko, The Quest for Infinity.
You look a little down.
Yeah, I just got out of my math class and I've been dumped.
I beg your pardon. I'm with Millie.
An earthquake? XANA sure is mad this time.
Don't panic. We should be safe here. XANA set a trap for us.
A trap?
Yeah, not very much happened, really. So, on to the next episode we go. So...
Mr. Stern,
Oh my god, Mrs. Hertz has something interesting to say again.
Sure thing, ma'am.
Quite right. But if I were you,
I can't
I'd
believe
spend
it.
more
She's
time
actually saying something
I marked
that
her last
isn't
test,
crazy.
and it wasn't exactly brilliant.
Oh well.
Hi, kids. I hope you're up for the phys ed class this afternoon.
Oh, by the way, I actually ended up accidentally
I'm just
skipping
overjoyed to
over
be in
something
school.
when I was
You're wrong,
recording this.
Kitty.
I think I get it in the
Physical
next
education
video,
is a
but
noble
William
discipline.
actually started to say
It
something
requires
different
a
here
perfect
too.
harmony between
A
body
little
and mind.
fast, I
Jim,
suppose, but...
A water main burst in the gym.
Either way.
We need help to clean the place up while we wait for the plumber.
No prob, Suzanne. Did you know that I was a frogman in Her Majesty's service?
I'm going
for
to
several
assume that a
years?
frogman is somewhat the equivalent of like an
I
SAS
think
Navy
I found
SEAL
a way to
kind of...
destabilize the forest replica.
Well, either way.
There's a tower on the volcano replica.
So, if you remember last time, XANA tricked us into screwing up the forest replica, so
It's not as easy as all that.
we have basically two possible scenarios here. We can either fix it, or we can do something that doesn't really have anything to do with fixing it.
Maybe all of XANA's traps are a good
Either way, we'd
Maybe
end
it
up going
means
to the
we're getting
volcano
close to
replica.
But why would XANA destroy his own sectors?
The energy that comes out of an exploding replica could destroy the skid when it gets to the volcano replica.
I'm not exactly
XANA wants
sure
to
how
trap us in his own
that
sector.
works, but if it does, it's pretty intelligent, because destroying the sector with something akin to the Chimera code doesn't actually destroy the supercomputer, so it works pretty well for XANA's purposes.
And where is this tower?
Alright.
In the mountain sector. But be careful. You can use the program and make
Ooh, a
yourselves
stealth
invisible
program.
only once.
It'll make us invisible.
Alright, let's go.
Wait, I have an idea.
But
What if we
yeah,
set
that's
up
gonna
a
wait for
destroy
next
the Ice
time.
Replika supercomputer?
In this episode, we're going to
That
destroy
would
the
be a
ice sector
chain
replica.
reaction that would upset the balance of the network's chromodynamic sinusoidal structure and weaken XANA and the volcano replica.
Huh? Okay.
I'm kind of surprised that nobody asks her to actually translate that into English, but it's a pretty basic idea.
Either you try to
Destroy the
restabilize
replica,
forest
and
replica,
XANA becomes
or
weaker.
you destroy the Ice
Easy.
Replika supercomputer.
So we're going after the ice sector, which means it's time for another boss fight. And another fight with William in the skid.
Trying to stop you from reaching the replica. Get rid of him. Release.
So... the stage has quite a few mantas in it, but there is at least one very new enemy that we'll have to deal with here. It's coming here in a minute. So we take out these two mantas. Health. We already have the 6th lock on, so that helps too. Take out the mantas, and oh no, it's a giant shark. Yeah, the shark enemies are actually kind of a problem. They have a large number of XANA symbols on their body that you have to destroy, and each one of those can fire lasers. So you're dealing with a constant barrage of lasers while trying to hit all the points on the body. You want to do as much damage to it the instant it shows up. And yes, there's a point later where you fight 2 of them at once. Luckily, they give you a nice bunch of repair items here, because they're going to send you flying through posts, and yeah. Ouch. I think it's the moving posts that really mess with me. There are a few stationary ones that are a problem, but you can sometimes even avoid those just by going far enough to the right or left, the same side. Oh wow, William showed up really fast this time. Yeah, William shows up with his backup immediately when you reach this section, so you see me doing a lot of defensive work this time, because I didn't really... maybe I was tired and didn't quite realize it was William yet. But... yeah, I do manage to avoid getting hit, and I do manage to take him out. But it is definitely not the most impressive thing I pull off this time. So, almost done with this. There we go. There was the smoke. Alright. Area clear.
Good.
we're on our way back to the Volcano replica, because if you remember, we destroyed the Ice Replika with the Chimera code, which means we have to access it from the Volcano replica. Which means XANA's security will probably be a little higher than it would have been if we were just heading for the Ice Replika. Especially since we were trying to use the stealth program to stabilize the Forest replica, because we were worried about the security that existed if we went into the Volcano replica, while XANA had the unstable replica that he could basically destroy.
Get rid of the monsters. If you don't, I can't get the translation procedure underway.
Okay, we'll take care of it.
So right here, we finally start seeing Volcanoids in fairly large numbers in this stage, and they shoot exploding shots. And they shoot, like, there's ones later that shoot a cluster of them, but yeah, here we just fight some Volcanoids and the weird claw bug thingies. I still don't know the names of those things. And you can see that I'm taking quite a few hits. This is the part where the actual fights against basic enemies become harder. But they start rewarding you with very large quantities of points for each one you kill, so that you can get all your upgrades a lot faster. There was a full health refill from the save point, because I don't bother worrying about not jumping through the fire things there, the lava. Because, to be honest, you really don't take enough damage from it for it to be a real big threat. And the timing on it is a little weird, so let's say I take about a quarter of my health and damage when I go through each of those.
You'll have to use petrification.
Alright, so you got two options here. You can either intentionally avoid the super mega tanks, and I said, or the invincible mega tanks, of which there is more than one, or you can just ignore it and race towards the exit, which is what I'm doing here. I did get the first one though, and there's the sudden cut because I screwed up. Normally there's a health pickup in the middle row here. You'll see me jump to the middle row. It's just because it's the fastest way to get over to the other side. But there's a health pickup in the middle of there, normally. And of course I had to use time control for it, so... And you have to use time control again here. And I forgot about that, so... Use that, and hit the other button. And then I stand on this button waiting for it to pop back up, but then I decide, screw it, let's go try and make it through, and we make it. Another gate, and oh boy. It's a shielded Volcanoid. Luckily we've got lots of energy this time, so it shouldn't be a problem. But we do kind of have to get rid of the beam creepers first before we start fighting it. It also shoots a barrage of exploding shots, so be careful about that. So the goal here is destroy all the basic enemies first, then switch to Ulrich and finish him off. There's a little more to it though. You see, whenever you use the triplicate ability, for the amount of time it takes the clone Ulrichs to run to the target, it also expends energy. So the cheapest way to use it is to be right next to the target when you use it, which is what you'll see me trying to do here when we have to fight more than one of these shielded Volcanoids. Luckily there aren't quite as many random weaker enemies this time, but we do need to take them out too. So, get those down, and now we can switch to Ulrich. And, yeah, in case you're wondering, it really is this hard to see what you're doing in the actual game, too. I am not entirely sure why it's this dark. I don't know if it was a problem with brightness in the recording, or what exactly. But, I'll see if I can tweak the brightness in this section for, the actual video before I send it out, but I'm not expecting to be able to do that. And there I waste a lot of energy just sending them to run a really far distance, so what I have to do is shoot at the shield and it starts dropping blue energy orbs. And then you can use Ulrich's ability again. See, the game never gets you in a situation where it's absolutely impossible to win the fight. So, that's 2 of the 3 in this section. We've only got 1 more left. So it's back to Odd to recharge our energy. Odd because he's the fastest at it, of course. Then we go with Ulrich as we try to close in on the target. Use Triplicate and... Huzzah! Yes, that is probably the closest I've come to dying here that hasn't resulted in me dying. I think there's at least 1 or 2 points later in the game, and we're getting pretty close to the end, but it's 1 or 2 points later in this game that I do end up dying from fighting enemies, so it can happen.
I can translate you, but someone has to stay to watch the skid.
I'll stay.
Now, for this boss, I actually had 2 almost complete runs at it, but the thing is, the video would have been way too long if I included both of them. So, depending on how long the next thing is, or how long I make it, maybe my previously on segment next time will actually just be my failure against this boss using all the characters instead of just Odd. Oh well. That would be a good way to go about it, I guess. So here's how this works. You shoot the little XANA symbols up there when they become available to target, and it breaks the little connector there. And then it becomes a spider boss that never moves. Fires explosives at you, and then creates these gates. Whenever the gates are all the way up, it's going to fire the yellow sphere. You have to knock the yellow sphere back into it. Avoid these lasers while you get around to the backside and attack him. Now, Ulrich could theoretically do more damage here, but it's not guaranteed. When there's only 1 of the gates at the bottom where you can easily get over it, it's going to try and freeze you. And then usually fire a yellow shot at you to kill you, because you can't really avoid the freezing ability unless you get out of the area between the little electrical gate things. Ouch. And it barrages you sometimes at that. Now, in theory, I could use time control here, but there aren't as many opportunities to actually activate it as there should be if it wanted you to really use it. So, almost get it down here, and then, since each time you hit the boss does cause damage, not just hitting the specific weak point the game wants you to hit,
Good. We got it.
I just decided to go for that last shot I needed right there, instead of worrying about bouncing the yellow ball back at me. So, the spider boss is down, the Ice Replika is destroyed, once and for all. Heh, you really thought he was going to fall into that hole, didn't you? And that's that. So we're just about done here. Next time we'll be going on a sneaking mission, so
The volcano replica.
I guess pack your bandana and stealth system.
Well done, guys.
And I will see you next time.